Something that's not really talked about enough because it's mostly overlooked is running with the football. And because it's such a basic and simple thing, people often don't really talk about the technique that's used to run with the ball, especially to beginners. Now, when I mean running or traveling with the ball, I don't mean changing direction or dribbling past players, because that's a slightly different technique than what we're talking about here. Instead, when I mean running with the ball, it's just basically how you would move into space under no pressure. And so a good example would be when a centre back or midfielder moves into space up the pitch, when they're unopposed, there's no real pressure, and they're just trying to progress play, and really they're moving at 30 to 40% of their speed. Now, there's two things that are involved when looking at the technique to how we run with the ball. And also this technique is very useful to get that smoothness when running with the ball as well. If you've ever seen some players when they run with the ball, and it's often the less technical players or defensive minded players, you can see it doesn't look as smooth, and it kind of looks like they're just kicking the ball and running after it as opposed to just running with the ball. And so this technique I'm about to explain is going to help to avoid that. So like I said, there are two things that we want to pay attention to when we're running with the ball. First is your front leg, and this is what's going to be responsible for making contact with the ball, which helps us control and manipulate the ball. Now, if we're running with the ball, we want to make sure that we're flexing our ankle and making contact with the ball using the outside of our foot. And the reason we want to do this is just because it aligns with our natural running pattern, which helps us move more easily with the ball. And then we have your back leg, which is the more important part, and this is responsible for the push and the smoothness when you carry the ball. You kind of want to think of your back leg as the back wheels of a rear wheel driving car, and on a rear wheel driving car, all the power and speed comes from those back wheels, and so the front wheels don't really provide any power, they're just there to steer and balance the car. And so that's kind of how you want to think of your legs when you're trying to run with the ball smoothly. Focus on your back leg for that push and that drive, and then your front leg is to control and just manipulate the ball. And it's almost like you're doing mini lunges with every touch you take on the ball, which can feel a little bit awkward at first. If you're thinking about it as well whilst you're practicing, can feel a lot awkward, and especially if you're a beginner. But that's kind of the technique you want to use to run with the ball in that smooth and glidey way. And the best way to practice this is just to do what you can see me doing here. So you can just place two cones or anything really that are a couple yards apart, not too far apart or not too close, and just simply carry the ball from one side to the other, and you just naturally start to pick up the technique. And like I said earlier, this is great if you're a centre back that wants to learn to carry and run with the ball from deep, or if you're a deep line midfielder who wants to learn to carry the ball up the pitch. But no matter what position you play, if you learn this technique, you'll just feel much more comfortable carrying the ball in those sort of unopposed, unpressured situations. But that's it for this video. By the way, if you're interested, I do have a detailed dribbling program that's broken down into 5 parts that cover the 5 most important aspects of dribbling and ball control. So if you're interested, you can check that out. It's just the first link in the description. But I hope you enjoyed the lesson in today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.